You know what's crazy? I actually remember them.
You remember that?
Because they actually offered for me to come work for them. I remember that. Very, very.
Oh yeah, we did.
Like, yo, $15K a month.
Yeah.
You bust that.
We were recruiting hard.
Yeah, recruited hard. I want to dive into these real estate, these commercial real estate deals you guys got. I want all the cheat codes.
All right, guys. Listen, man.
Yeah.
Look, man, if you guys don't know, you about to find out, man. We got two of the dopest guests that, I could think of personally here today to talk to us a lot about syndications, about real estate, about getting to the
Get that house, get that
to
shelter.
the bag when it comes to commercial real estate and apartment syndications, man. So Ace Akam, man, I'm glad to have you guys here. Welcome to Chico and Unlocked.
Welcome to Chico.
Thank you guys for having us.
The kind word.
Yeah.
We know Ace and Akam from a whole different,
Oh yeah.
different
Man.
game, right? Like Ace and AK, man. We call him AK because that's our guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's rock with AK.
AK-47.
Sure.
We knew these guys back before we really were doing a whole lot in the, in the education space before we built Chico, before we built Invest Academy,
definitely.
anything like that. We're just grinding out. I just came out of real estate, lost a bag in real estate.
Yeah.
Getting over leveraged in single flips. So
Right.
it was in real estate and property management.
Massive property management, 2,500 units. Crazy.
500 units.
Yeah.
And Ace and AK, man, these guys were grinding. They were young hustlers out here grinding.
And they had that Miami hustle.
Miami. Okay.
Yeah.
Bought Miami vibes to DC.
Yeah.
And they were killing it in the wholesaling space, man. So why don't we kind of frame, I guess, a little bit of the storyline on how you guys got started in the real estate world?
We initially were doing marketing for other companies, right? For other businesses. We were going hustling, pretty much doing whatever it takes to earn their business. And I think one of the clients that we had was a real estate client. Akam was helping them with their funnels, doing online marketing. And we just started noticing how we could apply that. And, we also had the hustle that we could go out there, find these deals, find opportunities, put it under contract, and then maybe flip it, sell it. It was just the foundational blocks to understanding real estate, right? The first step is making a deal happen.
Exactly.
In order to make a deal happen, you got to understand marketing and sales. So, we linked up. I think he called me up one day and he said, "Hey, look, I got this opportunity. If you're interested, let's go hard on it." By the time I hang up the phone, I'm over there driving in my car, going over to his place,
That's the
right?
mentality, man.
Because you got to get to it, right? Like
Yeah.
success takes speed. I feel like people don't realize that sometimes, and it's like
Definitely.
you got to get up and move. Like
Yeah.
if an opportunity comes across your way, there's no dilly-dallying. You got to get on top of it, move, and make it happen. Same day, we set a goal. We said we're going to put up $1 million.
Yeah.
Hadn't even made it,
Right.
even $100,000.
Right.
We're gonna put up $1 million.
Vision was there.
Right? Yeah. You got to be bold, and so we put it on the board. Within that year, we actually did hit it. First year.
What type of real estate was this?
This was single family, flipping and wholesale.
Flipping.
Yeah, moving single family. Did it for a couple
First year you guys got together, you made $1 million.
Yeah.
year. Yep. And you know what we did? We didn't even buy nothing, bro. We reinvested most of the money.
Right.
We went, found mentors, coaches. How do we scale this? How do we create a company out of it? Went, put out a deposit for an office space, 4,000 square feet in Alexandria.
Yep.
Started hiring people right off the bat. Literally just started going hard.
You know what's crazy? I actually remember this.
You remember
All right,
this?
listen, brother, son.
They actually offered for me to come work for them. I remember that. Very, very.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Like, yo, $15K a month.
Yeah.
You bust that.
We were recruiting hard.
Yeah.
Building you guys were at the time building a wholesale flipping empire.
Yeah.
And doing, basically hiring people to do, make the calls. For those of you who don't know, wholesaling is what exactly?
Yeah.
You're
So-
flipping contracts.
Yeah.
You get a property under contract and you assign that contract to an end buyer and an investor that's actually going to close on it and flip the property.
Right.
So you're not actually, flipping the property itself.
Right.
You're flipping the paper.
Oh man. So you don't even have to physically touch the house or do any hard labor. or anything
Extremely low risk.
It's like step
Oh,
one.
man.
Step one to understanding the game.
It's the best way to learn.
Best way to learn. Yeah.
Man,
So you guys have to actually go hard,
Yeah.
find deals that people are, motivated, and we call them motivated sellers, right? It's like that want to get rid of a house,
Yeah.
get it under discount, get under contract, sell to somebody else. And you guys systemize that process.
Yeah.
Or were you guys doing it yourself, like just going door to door,
Right.
and, sending out mailers or?
I mean, at the time, we were doing a bunch of marketing.
Everything,
Calling,
everything.
direct mail, everything but PPC.
Getting it out the
SMS.
Getting it out the.
Because it's a hustle.
It's a-
Wholesaling is a hustle game,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you got to have people around you who want to go and get it just as
Right.
bad.
Right.
And so, we just had to lead by example.
Right.
So we did that, man. It was great. A couple years went really, really hard with it. Then we saw a great opportunity come up for us to actually go and do what we really wanted to do,
Right.
which was the multifamily,
Oh, okay.
right? Going into the apartment buildings.
Right.
And that's where, that's when the transition happened. That's when the transition happened.
It's crazy because we met in a multifamily environment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we did.
They're really killing it in a multifamily.
Yeah, Jay, did they know like you were the one that leased us up?
They
right?
don't know.
He was a property manager.
I was actually working in property management, and I was the one that actually got these guys their apartment.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how I even like this whole thing even came about because I had actually told these guys, they came to check out the spot. I was like, oh man, I love these guys. We had a conversation. We talked about them but their apartment.
Yeah.
And then they came back. They're like, hey, listen, man, we really like you. We know you're gonna take care of us. And they just walked out the door.
Yeah.
So I got an opportunity, got a nice apartment. I was like, man, this fits these guys.
Yeah.
Like I give them a call. I'm like, yo, I got a.
Dude, you had the sweetest.
And what
So it's so interesting.
Same day we were there. Same day we were there.
Speed.
When finally.
It's interesting too because you hooked us up with a 12th floor view with a balcony. And I remember 2 days before moving,
Right.
this is a 16th floor. This is a 16th floor property, right? The Graham. And so 2 days before moving, you give me a call, text me like I got an opening on the 16th floor with an incredible view. But you don't get in unit laundry and you don't get the balcony. And I was like, I need that balcony. But once we actually got to the unit view, couldn't say no.
Sweetest apartment. I remember I used to come because I used to live in the building too. I used to live in the same building.
Yeah.
And I used to, when I'd be coming in like to come home, I'll look up on the 16th floor and I see one window that was like red light or green light. That like would change.
Oh yeah, I had the lights. We were the only unit in the building to do that. This is before everyone started doing it, bro. I was like, yo,
who is that?
Who is that?
These guys had a vibe.
It was a vibe. It's so interesting too, looking back at the Graham, like all the things that happened in that unit.
Yeah.
You had guys that come like many times, just to visit.
Right.
And when I would go to the leasing office, if he was there, you guys would be using the glass wall to take notes, map out the plan.
Yeah.
And here you guys are.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. So this day we're still mapping out.
Going on
In the office right now. Now we got our own office. We're still mapping out stuff on the windows, man. It's just dope.
So like we still map out that stuff now.
Yeah.
Same way. But,
Crazy.
it's crazy because like everything comes back full circle. You know what I mean? We just map stuff out there, map stuff out now. Obviously, it's been a huge growth in the past 3-4 years, but you guys had a massive growth too. You know what I mean? Like just in everything you've been doing from that time till now, some of the deals that you guys been working on, man, commercial, bro, it's crazy, man. Like, I just want to say I'm super proud of you guys for it.
Thank you, boy.
No, both of us, we've both been building our ventures, right? You guys got the cheat code going on, got this beautiful platform helping people with the trading, and we're hitting it from the real estate side.
Yeah. I want to dive into these real estate, commercial real estate deals you guys got. I want all the cheat codes with these deals. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah, just walk me through one of your first commercial, deals that you guys did, how you guys navigated the waters in that space, like how much exactly capital went into it, just for people sitting back home, like that are curious about the space, like they want to know, hey, how do I syndicate a commercial deal exactly? What do I want to put in to be able to, essentially get out a successful commercial deal, and what are the things that I need to look for?
Great question.
I think the first things first, you got to find a good deal. So you have to understand how to, analyze a deal, what to look for.
Right.
Once you get that process down and you come across a deal,
right.
That's when you jump into the numbers, right? Like for our first deal, we should have put zero money. Now we actually put in $400 out of 1.5 million, and that's because it was last minute. Something came up,
right?
And it was like a $400 short. It's like I'm not gonna go ask for investors for that,
right?
So we went ahead and it just sent the $400.
So you guys
deal was done.
You bought a $1.5 million property.
No. Good question. So it was a 70-unit apartment building. 70 units. The purchase price was $3.8 million. And the beauty thing about real estate, which is what makes it so unique, is you can go buy a $3.8 million property and only have to put 25 to 30% down.
Right.
So we only had to bring 1.5 million to the table.
Right.
And I know only, but hear me out.
Only
because you can go and raise that money. It doesn't have to be yours. That's the beauty about real estate also, right? Leveraging the bank, leveraging other people's money, bringing all these resources together, which is what's called syndication. So we figured out about this game called real estate syndication, where you can go ahead, pool resources together, bring the deal, bring the money together, bring the operators, bring everything together, and you create a syndication that everybody benefits. They did their role, right? And that was our first deal, right? Bought a $3.8 million building with only $400 of our own money, and yet we still had good ownership interest of the property.
Right.
And it was valuable to everybody. When Akam is saying a good deal, right? Like it has upside. It wasn't worth 3.8.
Right.
It was actually worth 7 million.
Oh,
Do you get what I'm saying? So that's what he means when it's a good deal.
So you get it. About $7 million worth of real estate for $400 of your own money.
Yeah.
Right. And at the end of the day, it's a good story. It's a good headline, the $400, but really it's a $1.5 million raise, regardless if you put in no money, which you don't have to, or, thousands of dollars or whatnot. I mean, at the end of the day, like a $1.5 million raise, you're looking at it, the investors, their returns are insane when you look at the lifetime of it, when you get a good deal. Yeah. That's why finding a good deal matters so much, because if you don't have the money to put up, you want to look out for your investors. These people, they will stay loyal to you if you're putting money in their pocket and you're just finding incredible deals
every time.
Yeah.
The interesting about, this deal, because it was our first deal, we hadn't done an apartment complex before, is we didn't know where we were going to find the money. We didn't know how we were going to find the deal.
Right.
We just went out there, and once we found the deal, everything came together. Within 2 weeks, a week or two, we partnered up with another group that had more experience than us. It's funny when I say that, thinking about, everything that we've done in the past, I'm sure you guys have done too, right? Like in your own communities, in your field.
Right.
We learned in wholesale how to flip by watching what our investors were looking for. And then obviously, once we learned the flipping game out and not just doing the contracts, it's like, okay, we're looking for this, what's the next step? Because flipping's not it. At least not for us.
Right.
We're looking to build wealth and hold. That's what the wealthiest people in the world do, right? They hold. And so going back to the commercial, we leaned on another group that had more experience, but we put everything else together, right? We put the money together, we put the deal together, and we found the right partners.
Right.
And so from there, you just have to take it to closing. And that's a whole nother process. You learn from other people, but you take that jump forward. And you just get the deal done. That's the most important thing, is getting that deal through the finish line.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: what would you guys consider as like the components of a good syndication deal? Like if I'm starting out, if I'm watching this right now, I'm somebody who's like interested in real estate, and this has piqued my interest. Maybe I heard of syndication before, but I don't know how to pull it off. What is it that I would need, like as far as a team goes? Because I know this is something that you can't just typically you're not gonna pull off on your own. What do I need to pull together in order to put a syndication deal together, right?
So here's the step. Step one is find a deal. So it really does come back to that. So I guess we should probably first define what a deal is.
What a deal is.
And how
constitutes a good deal.
Yeah, how we see it. Because it's like somebody might look at deal and they might pay 95 cents and it's worth $1 and they think they got a deal.
Right.
But to us, that's not really a deal.
Yeah.
Right? Or even 90 cents. Like we got to get it for a good price based on what it's going to be worth in the future, right? Based on future cash flows. And so commercial real estate apartment buildings are valued based on how much money it generates, right? The more money it generates, the more value you can add to the bottom line, the higher the value can be raised. That's the beauty of it, right? It's not something that's just based on a comparable, like a house. Like a house, it's like, oh, my neighbor sold for 500, I can sell for 500 if I do this.
Oh, wow. That's a really good.
Yeah. But for us, it's like, if I can take it for 500,000 a year to 600,000 a year, that extra $100,000 of increased income divided by a cap rate, which is how commercial real estate is used, divided by a 5% cap rate. Dude, that could be like an extra like $7 million of additional, I don't even know if it was 7 million, but it's millions of dollars of additional income that's created.
It's almost like valuing like a business. Almost.
Easily. And so, and we could do the quick numbers on it too, right? So if you take $250,000, right, that's additional bottom line, right, to the apartment building, right. If you divide that by a lot of the market cap right now is a 5 cap. Right. That means you just increased it by $5 million. Oh, man. You just increased it by adding $10 of additional parking.
That's not even to count the coin laundry that they have.
Coin laundry, all these additional.
That has to be. I remember loading
application fees,
all these
pet fees.
Yeah.
So,
but you're making the place very nice, right? So people are worth paying that, right?
Most definitely.
Like people might complain, but they're like, dude, it's a nice community. They put money into it,
and it attracts the right tenants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you're willing to pay it.
Okay. So
the deal.
So you found a deal. Okay. Now, all right. I like this deal. I know this is a good deal. I even got my financing lined up, right? Or at least for larger parties, as far as like bank financing, let's say. Now I need to come up with 1.7, right, to close
Yeah.
the deal. What's the team that I'm putting in place to like make this happen? So I can go to an investor and be like, hey, this is worth coming in, and I can
Right.
handle everything, you know?
So in the beginning, you want to be leaning on somebody who's experienced. Like this game, you're talking about millions of dollars. You
Right.
don't really have any
Different
experience.
game.
You can't really learn the education anywhere, right?
Right.
It's not really out there. And so you got to make sure you're doing the right thing as a good steward of other people's money.
Mhm.
And so you have to lean on somebody who has that experience in the beginning. That's what we did, right? There's nothing
Right.
wrong with that,
Right.
It's kind of like you're learning as you go,
Right.
and you're giving up a little bit of the pie for somebody else
Mhm.
to come do it that you know that they've already had the track record.
Right.
Because essentially,
Like a mentor or
kind of like a mentor or like another group, right?
Right.
So like if we did a deal together and you found an apartment deal
Right.
and I said it was a deal, we both agreed, financing is straight, you would, you could try to figure out the hard way and risk a lot of money involved, or you could be like, dude, let me get Ace and AK involved. They could help me get the whole process down.
syndications.
Cheat code syndication. That's really it right there.
Right there.
You lean on them, you bring them in as a partner,
Huh?
you learn as they're doing it.
Right.
They make money, you make money, and it's worth their time to
Right.
give you that expertise and whatnot.
Right. It's a mutualistic relationship.
cool.
Man, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Okay, so basically partner with starting out the gate is somebody new, partner with somebody who has more experience, right?
exactly.
And then,
More experience and is bankable.
And bankable too.
Because otherwise, if you're doing your
Yeah.
first deal, I'm assuming most people don't have the funds, they don't have the net worth to be bankable.
Right.
So, the partner, you can knock out two birds with one stone by finding a partner that can operate and mentor you through the process, but really they're a partner and mentor. And obviously, and also be bankable. Go to the bank.
man, I gotta tell you, even as an entrepreneur, man, being bankable is one of the most critical components that is not talked about. Being able to go and get finance, whether it's having the credit, right, having the net worth, having the paperwork and documentation in line to be able to go to a bank and say, hey, I need 200,000 to do X, Y, Z. We found out the hard way for a long time, like just not having tax documents in order, or whatever it may be, or just keeping the proper records of statements and profit and loss statements and account sheets, stuff like that. Like our first year, we had to figure all that stuff out to even be able to look at being bankable.
Right.
Right.
And that's so huge on like if you want to scale any business, especially obviously real estate, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's all about being bankable, So that's a key point.
And they really don't teach you that.
Not at all.
I don't hear it
Not at all.
anywhere.
Nope.
Nobody
Not
talks
at
about that.
Literally. No way.
For anybody in real estate, period. Like
Yeah.
commercial.
Oh yeah. He's about to drop it.
Oh, there we go. This is
My man, all the cheat codes right here.
Ace Akam. This is
Yeah.
AK right here.
Yeah.
AK-47. Okay, so what
This
you
is
about to
Black
say
Air
right
Force
bro,
energy.
is so critical, man,
Let's go.
because like having contracts in place for whether it's in wholesaling, whether
Right.
it's in flipping, whether it's in rentals, like single family stuff like that, like
Yeah.
it's so critical. Go ahead and drop what you about to say.
Yeah,
Drop that.
contracts, if you're in a single family, it's just as important. I mean, a contract,
Right.
it's in the writing. When the problems occur or when an obstacle occurs,
Mhm.
you don't go back and forth with the individual you're doing business with.
Right.
You always refer to the contract 99% of the time.
Right.
And I'll tell you this: in single family, individuals are a lot more lenient. Ace knows this. A commercial, these men and women are ruthless, and it's not because they have an ill intent. It's because I'm pointing at the contract.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, we've been in a few, we've had a few experiences where it's like, you learn the hard way. Thankfully for us, everything went well because we were able to go to the seller or the broker and talk to them. We're relatable people. The importance of the contract, not just like everything matters in commercial. We're single family. If you're doing as is, it's pretty straightforward, right? But when you're looking at these commercial contracts, everything is outlined. From the day you have you have your financial terms, right? Earnest money, purchase price and all that,
Right.
easy stuff. Where it gets really bulky is like, this is how due diligence is going to go down.
Right.
So when you want something during due diligence or you need something from the seller, if you didn't put it in writing, they can back off and be like, I don't need to give it to you, or and a lot they don't always do that, but they will. And then making sure you have like options. One of the things we just learned on our last deal was you want to, a lot of times if it allows, you want to have a buyer option to extend for an amount that I'm going to give you earnest money, and it's non-refundable. So if my 60-day timeline is up and I'm supposed to close, I would reach, if you knew before then, I'll reach out before and be like, hey, I'm looking for an extension, But why would you want to do that? That person, if the value went up over time, or he might be getting blown up, or other offers, you want it to be in the writing, because he could easily back out and he has all over the leverage over you.
Right.
So you want to have, a clause in there that says, well, we're going to put in, $100,000 for extra 30 days, and we get that 2 times.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, like contracts is it's like an art in and of itself. Honestly, it's like knowing how to structure contracts and put things in there properly is just so critical, man. To your point, and even to your point earlier, having that mentor, that guide that's already been through it, to say, put this in there, put that in there, just things like that. I can only imagine, because I know for single family how critical it was that I didn't know what I needed to put in the contracts. Things like holding, certain amount of money for the last payment on final inspection, whatever it may be, right? Like those contracts prior to it. And it cost me my entire single family real estate business. Like, you don't know what you don't know, right? So, like, know if you come into a commercial deal without that experienced person, I can only imagine the type of things that you
can screw yourself up.
And here's what we learned. And unless you have an absolute like killer of an attorney, like Donald Trump's guy, when you get into the space, a lot of attorneys they're good, they're really good, but there are greater ones out there, and usually they're on the other side, especially when you talk big assets. And where I'm ultimately going for this is, you want to make sure you have a good attorney on your team. That's the person that's going to draft this PSA up anyways, and really get down to the nitty gritty. But it's not just with sellers and brokers. Everyone's looking out for their own pockets at the end of the day, and it's all in the writing. So when you're talking with property management companies, they'll throw in clauses where they're getting a fee here and a fee here, and it's like, whoa, hey, I know. And then with lenders, I got a piece of advice before I got into multifamily. And I just shared this with Ace recently. I'm like, we got to read every single word that we get when a lender sends out a contract.
Yep.
Because the bank is your biggest partner. And so, and banks, we all know this. They're ruthless. If you mess up, they don't care.
They don't.
There's no emotion involved. And so
they're moving to freeze all your assets.
In an ideal world, you have a lot of money, you have the best attorney, and you don't even need to read the contract. He just takes care of business.
Right.
But when you're first getting started, I don't know if you have that kind of, those resources.
Yeah.
So even if you do, and you've never done a deal before, and you got $100 million, you're not I would still read it just to know what they're putting in, or hire someone to explain it to me, what's actually in the contract and how they're trying to maneuver. Lenders, property managers, before you start working with somebody, everyone tries to get the most in their position. And you got to be willing to, or you have to have an understanding of what that is, have the knowledge, or have a partner that has the knowledge to point that stuff out, and then go back to them and be like, hey, this is not how we're going to do it. X, Y, and Z. Now the negotiation really begins.
Definitely. I mean, that's an amazing dynamic, because in the world of just speaking on the property management side, it's like people come in wanting leases and doing this and doing agreements, just signing on the dotted paper, and like you're getting a lease, just something as simple as even a lease. There's like a 20-page, 30-page document that you're signing through, and people are just like, and then they come, and then something happens, God forbid, and you have to break out of your lease, and you're sitting there like, you gotta pay 4 times your rent up front.
4 months rent, baby.
4 months rent before you get out of your lease, and you're sitting there like, oh, and then that puts you in a position where now your credit is hit because you don't have the cash up front or the capital at the moment. And then your credit is hit. Now you can't leverage that credit to get even more money.
Right. So and what you're explaining, Jehu, to like really just put it into like one quick sentence, is a contract protects you from future occurrences, whatever those occurrences may be.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why you want to put in that time and energy, as boring as it may be to read a contract, to actually learn it, understand it, and then put yourself in the right position, and then sign off on those dotted lines.
Right. And then to put a layer on that too, what you Ace was saying, as far as like, you're dealing with higher, margins when it comes to commercial real estate. So in those cases too, even though it's higher reward, you have to be very careful for the people that are watching this. Although it's higher reward, there's also higher risk. So if you're not taking those, motions to mitigate risk, you're going to be in a world of hurt, right?
Correct.
So that's definitely, you guys nailed it on the head, man. I'm learning a lot.
And if we're talking about multifamily as a business or commercial real estate as a business, and you're talking about margins, everything they put in the contract that you didn't see, or you got too excited and signed off, or whatever happened, that's going to affect your bottom line, which is going to affect the value.
And it's going to affect your investors.
And it's going to affect your investors.
So being a good steward, the business being a good steward of the money, that's all your job.
Right.
And so like this picture has become really clear. Essentially, is the value as a syndicator or a commercial real estate investor as a whole is really in being a good steward, right? And being a good manager and literally paying attention to the nitty gritty details, because each one of those details is going to, like you said, impact the bottom line, whether it's a contract, whether it's, the knowing the numbers of how much the materials should cost for the renovations, so that you're not getting beat out from contractors. Because even to your point earlier about everybody's trying to position themselves the best way.
Right.
Out of your deal, right? And
Correct.
your money, right? You're creating value. And everybody's trying to position to get a piece of that pie in some way. And if you're not on top of it, paying attention to the details, they'll eat the business up, right? You're going to end up failing eventually. So, I mean, it's definitely a detail-oriented thing. So, it sounds like to really be successful in this business, you have to be that person, be that kind of person, detail-oriented, on top of things, a good manager of things.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, I want to make it clear that you guys, knowing you guys' story personally, you didn't start off being able to afford a 60 grand loss, right? You guys came from bottom up, right?
Definitely.
Like literally, grinding out through wholesaling, but staying focused on the vision of where you guys wanted to go in your space, right? Like we watched you guys do it, from wholesale. I came in probably like right after you guys really got the ball rolling on the wholesale game.
Right.
But going from, just remind me like what you guys started with, like out the gate in your real estate journey,
Like money, like
capital.
Yeah, capital.
credit cards.
Yeah, zero.
Goes back to having a credit.
It's actually interesting you say that.
Yeah.
Major cheat.
I was, lucky enough that I had credit because I had a few credit cards before I even graduated college.
Man.
Where I had like 30 or 40,000 credit line just between my credit cards.
Man,
So
that's amazing.
at that point, we were already in the hole, but and it's just a matter of making that investment into a mentor, 5-10K, put it on the credit card, and you're gonna do it. But if I wasn't bankable, who knows? It would be different.
Story can be very different.
And that I think is so key for people, because people watching this will say, oh yeah, well they got millions of dollars of deals. They probably like know all these rich people or whatever it may be. But like, dude, you guys started ground up with some credit cards, which anybody is available to anybody across the board to be able to get credit cards, build your credit, do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
And invest it in yourself and your education, right? And the mentorship and the guidance or whatever it took for you to go from point and the experience, bet on yourself to get that experience. So I kind of want to ask you guys now, like from scratch, starting from ground zero, boom. What's the first thing you're going to do to like get back in the game on that note? Like, let's say you lost everything today. What would you guys do to get back?
Okay, if I lost everything today, that's a great question. So, I guess it's more centered around somebody who's probably starting out and wants to start making some money just real quickly and really rapidly. So, my thing is, dude, it's like, dude, go online, go to a website like listsource.com, go and buy a list of high equity absentee owners lists in your specific zip code and area. Pull the list, download it, go to a website like Need to Skip. Go get a skip trace, pull the phone numbers, and start banging out the phone. Call every single person and ask them if they want to sell their home as is condition, without any appraisal, cash, and you can close on it very, very quickly. If you just do that, I think like in 3 or 4 easy steps, you can find your first real estate deal.
Wholesaling deals, or for like finding a good commercial deal, like you guys talking about?
Well, just like a single family opportunity to make some money.
Yeah. Okay.
So some quick cash.
Yeah.
You get the list from List Source. You get the phone numbers. You start banging out phone calls, trying to get those wholesale deals locked in, and then you're going to flip that contract to other investors, and then you're going to parlay that money into commercial real estate.
Yeah.
To syndication.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Pretty simple.
Yeah. Great. So you can't have the same answer. So like, look, I would get straight into flipping smaller multifamily buildings, 4, 8, 12, 16 units, even with no experience. The reason I say that is it's not so big that it overwhelms you,
Right.
and it's not so small where you're limiting yourself. And so I would focus on smaller units to learn. And all you need to know at the end of the day is rents. Run it at a 50% expense ratio, right? So when you get the rents, multiply the amount of units times the rent, multiply that by 12 months, multiply that total number by 0.92, which is the occupancy throughout the year. You'll get a value, and then run that number at a 50% expense ratio, okay? Just know where you can take the rents, and that value will change. Now, from there, all you need to know is because you already have your income and your expenses. You just need the cap rate of your market. So if you do X to the income and Y to the for the expenses, if you drop expenses a little bit and you increase the income, you create X amount of value once you divide it by the cap rate.
Okay, that's a lot. There's a lot of ones.
Man,
I like that though. So 4-6. So you talking small multifamily deals. You're gonna go ahead and try to grab those deals, increase the income so that you can increase the value of the property, and go ahead and flip that property to another investor. Is that correct?
I wouldn't even flip it to another investor, Quay. It's a great question, though. I'm glad you asked that question.
Right.
I would actually transfer that equity. So if I created $400,000 on an 8-unit in equity, I would 1031 that into a bigger deal. I would go from a 4-unit to a 16-unit, and now I don't need to raise any money because that's my down payment for the next deal.
Okay, now what's I don't 1031 exchange.
Oh,
that.
right.
This ain't never going.
A 1031 is you're deferring your taxes to a later date. You're essentially saying, I'm going to take the equity that I built up in this building, and I'm going to invest it transfer it into a likewise or similar property.
Yeah.
And so if you go up to a 16 unit, you can $400,000, you can buy a $1.6 million building.
So you just keep rolling.
Right. Now, so let me throw one more thing. Now imagine you take that next deal from 1.6 million to 2.4 million. You added the value.
Right.
Now you have the $400,000 that you get back plus the $800,000 that you create. Now you have 1.2. Now you can jump into the next
massive deal.
That's a cheat code. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So I like both of those answers. One for just generating cash under thin air with just some hard
The
work.
one from
Very important.
That's a skill set, right? If you lose everything tomorrow, you get that list for a couple, $100 or something like that, and start banging them things out.
You could work for that.
And then the other, getting into multifamily, smaller deals, and just continuing to roll that capital into something massive. You definitely would get both of those. Obviously, y'all got a lot of game to give. So people out there watching this, listen to this, like, where can they find you guys? Tap into that info and get some more game off you guys.
So you guys can follow us on social media. I'm on Instagram at ace.invest. AK is AK Invest. You can reach out to us on Facebook, add me as a friend, Ace Karimi. That's my full name. And if you're looking for more information on how to get into multifamily investing, if you're somebody who already probably has some real estate experience, reach out. I might be able to give you a free resource or two. And if you're looking for something deeper, we may be able to have a conversation about that and how I can help you out.
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at AK Invest.
Okay.
Also, connect with me on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn personally. Akam Ahmedi, AKAM, last name AHMEDI. But you're probably only gonna find one of those guys. So add me on there, and like Ace says, feel free to reach out. I'm very active on Instagram and LinkedIn. So if you have questions, I do check, once a week, once every other week. And then obviously, take it from there.
These guys are true networkers because you got a Facebook shout out and a LinkedIn shout out. I don't think anybody's done that.
Yeah, nobody's done that yet. Man,
so you guys are
that's special.
Good. All right, guys. So we're going to recap the cheat codes from what we heard before we roll out.
Yeah.
Jay, you go ahead, you kick it off.
Yeah, let me start, man. Some cheat codes that I learned personally from these great guys is that when you're getting into, real estate investment, you don't want to over leverage yourself. In the due diligence process, you want to make sure that you're really, really taking the time to check everything and make sure all your I's are dotted, all your T's are crossed by going through the properties, make sure there's no cracks, or in his case, in the Texas property, no pipes damaged or eroded in this case. Make sure you check the plumbing. Always make sure when you're hiring contractors, make sure that they're solid contracts. It's usually referrals from people like property management, people that are already in place there and they have a system already in place. And then also, just as a beginner getting into the real estate world, or don't be scared to dream or go hard. You know what I'm saying? Because these guys literally started with damn near nothing. Their first deal, they put only $400 in on a $1.something million property. That's massive. You know what I'm saying? And make sure that your network, your direct circle is people that can, directly impact you or put you in a position to win like these guys had. If it wasn't for their direct circle, they wouldn't have been able to close on such an amazing deal. You know what I'm saying? Which is super important. That just goes to show you, if you don't have the right people around you and the right network, you're not going to be going to the right places. You may have visions, But if your circle never changes, your circle will always reflect what your visions and your goals and where you're going to end up. So that's the cheat codes I personally got from that episode. And I really appreciate you guys being here, man. Love
I
that.
appreciate that, Jay.
Yeah, for sure.
Quay?
All right. So some of the cheat codes I heard from this conversation, it's quite a few, man. But I would say, one, starting over from ground zero, focusing on, generating cash from the ground up, right? It doesn't always take a lot of money in real estate to make money. I think that's one of the key things, listen to you guys' story, some of the things you talked about. It doesn't always take a lot of capital to get in like people may think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hitting the phones and contacting people to, to just find those deals, that doesn't take a whole lot of money, right? So, just putting in the work, putting in the effort, and putting in the deals together, being a good deal maker, I think is critical, cheat code to this game. Second off, being detail oriented, paying attention to the details, finding every single, covering all the groundwork. If you're going to be in this space and dealing with OPM, you have to be a good steward of that capital. So you have to be detail oriented. Huge lesson for me in single family. Lost a lot of money, dealt with a lot of, pain points and things like that, in that space by not being detail oriented. So definitely a major cheat code to take with me. Third, I would say even leveraging the 1031, like you just mentioned.
Right.
That's a huge cheat code. A lot of people don't take enough advantage of that. That's a great way to build generational wealth, or wealth as a whole. It's to continue to be able to roll capital from one property to another while deferring taxes the entire way through, right?
Right.
I think that's a massive cheat code all the way. Right. So those are three I think I took the most from on my end. And I would just encourage anybody out there, if this is something that you're trying to get into, whether it's commercial real estate or real estate as a whole, being diligent and putting in the work and being patient is just, three things that I've personally watched these guys do over the past, it's been like 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
The patience is a huge thing. These guys are
I love that. Thank you.
Very patient.
Very patient people.
Yeah, for sure.
Very diligent, very, determined in exactly what it is and where they're going. And then the last one is the mentorship. Like Ace said, you'll be a millionaire if you know how to make $1 million. And
Right.
people out there who know how to make $1 million. The people in this room specifically, and people outside, just all over the place, know how to make $1 million and can get you that game on how to make $1 million. And thus you become a millionaire just by knowing how to do that, right?
Right.
It's obviously up to you to put in the effort and the work on your own, but find a mentor, find a coach, find somebody who can give you the game and whatever it is you're trying to do. I don't care if you're trying to be a pilot. I don't care if you're trying to be, an athlete, or whatever it is, find you a coach to get you from point A to point B, because you don't know what you don't know. So I think those are the main cheat codes I got. And again,
It's massive.
I'm gonna
appreciate you guys.
thank you, Quay,
Yeah.
Jehu. I'm gonna throw one more thing in there for the people. The cheat code
let's
family.
do it. Let's go.
Utilize the resources you have in front of us. If you're in the multifamily space, guys, so this is our buy box, 80 plus units. If you come across an opportunity, 80 plus units
Right.
in a good area. We look for A or B areas. That means, a neighborhood that you would take your mother to, right?
Right.
So A or B areas, if the property is under market rents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also if there's deferred maintenance. So if you happen to drive by a neighborhood, or you just know of a property that's in a good area, and you notice that it's the ugliest building
Mm-hmm.
in the neighborhood, in a good neighborhood, it's definitely something deeper to look into. But if you do come across a deal, an opportunity, we can help you in any of the ways that we mentioned throughout the podcast, and get the deal done.
Yeah, no.
Make you an equity partner or kick you a fee in the deal.
That's a massive deal right there.
Sleep on that.
That's a massive deal. You guys do not sleep on that. That is a major opportunity. Go out there and find you a deal. The opportunity is there.
Yeah.
So you got their Instagram, you got their Facebooks, their LinkedIn, and you find that deal, make sure y'all tap in.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, fellas.
Appreciate you guys.
Okay, and stay tuned with these fellas right here.
Yeah.
We
Y'all killers.
we always got something up our sleeve.
Yeah, man. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and
make sure you
tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a motherfucking friend.
Tell them.
Hey, get your credit right, man.